Hello, it's Dr. Anand again with Unleashing Your Inner Power with Dr. Anand. Today, I'm looking at a topic which is rather difficult to comprehend and to deal with. But you know, I've been around for many decades on this planet and I've formed my point of view. That's all I give you. I don't quote other people. I don't say it is said, he said this, book says that. I just tell you my personal experiences in life. And I've had the good fortune of being born in one faith, going to school with people of a different faith, working in the UK with a third faith, and therefore I've transcended those boundaries where exactly your faith or your country or your religion or your status decides who you are. Because I believe we are a bit like snakes. As we grow, we shed the skin. So as a snake grows, it needs the space to expand. And the only way to learn who you are is to meet other people. If constantly I sat with doctors all the time, if constantly I sat and played carom or cards with men my age, if constantly I went to, say, the Hindu temple every day, morning, noon and night, that's fine. But that is your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, you'll never find out who you are. You'll be part of the flock, the sheep. And I therefore very strongly believe that because I've had the fortune of not only being allowed to mix with people, I purposely go to all different places. Do you know I've been to Iran? Do you know I've been to Israel? Do you know, as an Indian, I've been in Pakistan for 53 days in Lahore. And I learned a lot. What I learned was no one's different from me. Everyone is exactly the same as me. So unless you come out of your comfort zone, you have no chance of finding what your inner strength is, what your inner power is, what your inner energy is, what your inner talents are. I've seen as a doctor people with extreme difficulty. There was a lady called Rose who was my first patient in the orthopedic ward, and she had the most severe rheumatoid arthritis. Her hands were like that, really, just like that. And yet, with a felt pen, she was drawing Christmas trees and selling cards to raise funds for the hospital. Now, she might have raised only 20 pounds in one Christmas. So what? She has a purpose in life. She's found a purpose. And I live in a country which is very charitable. This country is called England, Bangladesh, the land of the angels. And for all its faults, it has the most charities in the world. And therefore, I learn a lot from this country, England, to be charitable to people. Means just be good to people without expecting anything back. It's like love. You love people. If you expect something back, that's a bank transaction. I did this for you, you did this for me. I didn't do this for you, you won't do this for me. That's not being comfortable. That's not being happy. That's preventing you from finding your purpose in life. So unless you meet a lot of people, and I hope for myself that on my dying day, I still haven't found my purpose in life, because there's so many attitudes, so many values, so much to learn. Don't they say art is long and life is short? In Latin, there's such a saying. It's absolutely true. Recently, I've started flying the drone. I knew nothing about drones. I saw someone flying it. I said, okay, I'll go and get a drone. And it's only by doing that you learn. It's not by reading. You get some idea. Suppose you were my first patient and I was your surgeon. And I said, I've read every book on the planet. Doctor, have you done any operation? No, but I've read every book. Would you have an operation from me? No. So I speak from experience. It's only my experience, but it isn't. I've heard through patients. Can you imagine how many patients I must have seen in 45, 50 years? Thousands upon thousands. And I listen very carefully. I don't judge them. I try to see if I was in their shoes. If I was Ravi Shankar's son, I'd be a great sitarist. Most likely. If I was Boris's cousin, I might have been a prime minister. But that is not life. What it is about is to find what your true purpose is, not what other people's. So your parents will tell you what to do. Your teachers will tell you what to do. Your friends will tell you what to do. And in the continent, subcontinent we come from, everyone gives you advice that you neither need, that's going to be of any use. What you should do. I just shut my ears when people tell me. And over time, people have got to know that if I don't ask for advice, please don't give it. So my view on the purpose of life is keep yourself open. You'll find new things to do. And when you found your purpose, you will find that things just happen like that. In the Hindu faith, there's a word called dharma. It doesn't mean religion, it means your true nature. So the true nature of ice and snow is to be cold. The true nature of wind is to flow. The true nature of fire is to burn. So when you're in your true nature, in your dharma, if you look at, there was a presenter, American, who talked about the higher motivational states. First he said you have to survive, then he said you look for some gratification, then you serve society, etc. And then you come to the highest point where you just are yourself. If you look at the best Olympic players, they are not focusing on winning. For them, the football, the player and the goalpost become one. It's in India called yoga. Yoga means connection. So if you're connected to your true self, you'll find your purpose in life. So let's look at how do people find out their purpose in life, and how do they find out they've found what their purpose in real life was. Let's look at some examples. Look at Shakespeare. Do you think he was famous for his spelling? Probably he got held after class for bad grammar and so on. But in time, he started expressing himself and he became the most famous bard in the English language. Look at some footballers. Do you think Beckham was Beckham on day one? No, he might have played tennis, he might be a long jumper, but when he played football, everything aligned for him. Do you remember the movie, The Three Idiots? It was a beautiful movie because it told parents, don't force your children into what you have not achieved. Often parents think, I wish, main ye karta, main wo karta, and what they can't do, they impose on their children. Slowly, even this movie taught me a lot, that if you are in your element, if you're doing what you're meant to do, you'll do it very comfortably. I'll tell you what I was. I was very good with science, okay? So I used to make transistor radios at the age of 12. I used to make one bulb thermometer. I did photography. I made my own camera. I made my own developer. And I thought I was going to be the best scientist that India had ever produced. I went to Delhi. Well, you go to a different place to get away from your family, to discover yourself, to be naughty as well. So anyway, and I found the subject so boring. Physics was so cold and boring. For me, I'm not saying it's the same for everyone. I found it boring. About a year and a half later, I gave up and went back to Patna. And suddenly I started enjoying, though I had lost time. My juniors became my senior. But all that apart, I was enjoying medicine because I enjoyed integration and interaction with human beings. I used to really enjoy sitting on the bed and talking to a patient. Often my professor would tell me off, jaldi karo, what are you doing? You're wasting time. But I used to enjoy that interaction. And in that medical school in Patna, I started a newspaper, the first ever. I got the best award for exhibition. And it was about a frog's heart beating faster with adrenaline. And I still help people with breathing and yoga about the human heart. There are always connections. So once you found what your true purpose in life is, you'll be successful in your happiness at work, job satisfaction. You'll be successful with your family. You'll be kind to your whole in-laws, children, society, next door neighbor, because you found something good. So you won't be bickering, complaining, writing complaints, phoning this one, that one. You'd be a happy bunny, as they say in English. And I found this time and again. When I'm in my element, little things don't matter. Whether someone is late or the car has had a puncture, it just doesn't matter because you've got a higher goal. There was two people building the Sistine Chapel, this famous cathedral in Rome. One fellow was asked, what are you doing? He says, I'm a builder. The other fellow was asked, what are you doing? He said, I'm building the Sistine Chapel, because he was invested in it. Look at Steve Jobs. He was from a very poor family, and he slept on the floor, and he attended classes which had nothing to do with him because his parents couldn't afford the fees. He learned calligraphy. He learned designing. He even got kicked out of his own company. But look at how Apple is all over the world, because that man has found his purpose in life of making something very attractive and beautiful looking. So when your purpose of life is fulfilled, you will achieve. I'll tell you another story. Two girls used to come to my home to learn Indian classical music. For many years, about 15 years, I ran an organization for people to learn classical music by a teacher who had come from India along with his wife and lived with us. Both the girls went into medicine. They were about 11, 12 months apart. So they're almost like twins. The younger one started doing medicine and became a general practitioner. The older one in front of me said to her father, "Dad, I've decided to do veterinary." And the father was such a noble gentleman. He did not say, "I spent so much money on you doing this, doing that." He said, "Fine." And she got a Queen's Award for a PhD on dog saliva. So the older one who decided to do something else has actually made her mark. I often used to go to conferences, and in one conference I said to all the young practitioners, I was young once, aged 40 I think, and I said, "Those of you doctors whose parents are not doctors, put your hand up." Only 3% did. So even in this country, where doctors don't tell their children, "You have to be a doctor," but you copy, just like actors' children become actors. So if you're doing it because your father was doing it, that's quite sad. I know a gentleman in Pakistan, Rehan Allahwala. His father has got a huge business in, I think, paper. Rehan decided to do something else, and he has got, I think, 14 million followers, and he's changing the thinking of the people, and he's started a party and so on. So once you follow your own purpose in life, you'll know you are happy, you're spreading good word, and things just happen for you. You may not have a huge amount of money, but you'll have a huge amount of human capital. Another difference I'll tell you from my experience back in India to my experiences here when I taught medical students. Medical students join here at the age of 18 and they're nearly finished by, say, 22, 24. And even then, they're not absolutely sure which branch of medicine to go into. Whereas in India, I know some families, where at the age of 12, you're told, "Tu doctor banega, you will be a doctor, or you'll be a solicitor, or you'll be an engineer." That's it. And it is time that we let go a little bit. Because someone who's happy in the long run, like a marathon runner, is better than someone who does a short sprint, has an unhappy life being a banker or a doctor or whatever he didn't want to do. Because when you don't want to do something, a bit like an arranged marriage, you blame the mother-in-law. But when you arrange your own marriage or your own profession, you take responsibility. You take the knocks in life and you decide, "Koi baat nahi, I've not succeeded this time, I'll do it next time." You don't get deflated. But if others do your career like a puppet, you're a puppet and people are deciding a career, you'll say, "Doesn't matter, it's father's problem. Oh, my uncle told me what to do. It's his issue." So we are slightly different in the West, that you're given a bit more leeway. So in India, a young person starts at 18. In UK, a young person starts maybe 25 or 30 even. So you've got a lot of lag period in the West where you're allowed to make mistakes. And there's nothing called a mistake. I truly believe you learn every single day if you're prepared to. I don't believe in entertainment. I believe in edutainment. As a matter of fact, the word doctor means teacher. And I became a doctor. I taught medical students. Even now, I'm teaching you my own experiences so that you don't make my mistakes. Go and make your own. Hello there. Let's do the way our purpose in life affects our life. It's not just a theoretical idea. Let's look at the ways in which once you found your purpose, you know how it is, you know why you're going somewhere, you know how to do it, and you'll do it successfully. Let's take a bigger picture. On my left is a typical Western youth group, and on my right is a typical Eastern group. So this group has Americans, English, French, German, Italians, etc., all English speaking, largely of that faith. And here we have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, etc., etc., etc. At the age of 18, or even earlier, even much earlier, even at the age of 5, I've heard people say, "Mera beta doctor banega, my son will be a doctor." And on this side, nobody tells them what to do because they take a bit longer. Because in the West, I believe, they look at the longer term prospects. They plan longer. So they don't tell their children, "You have to be a doctor, you have to be this." I'll give you an example. Because I taught medical students for about 20 years, I got to know them personally, individually as well, and in groups. And often I found that they would go and explore something completely different. So in the 4th year medical students of Newcastle upon Tyne, where I'm from, the students would take a year's break, all of them, and go to Australia and see how medicine is practiced there, where the distances are different. Or some would go to Kathmandu, some would go to Delhi, some would go to Pakistan and experience a completely different lifestyle of what the doctor does, what his support system is, what facilities are available, and they come back completely changed. Whereas here, it seems life is very short and you have to quickly become a doctor, quickly get into the job, any old how, through knowing people, to become a professor, not actually enjoy a job. And the consequence of that is, here in Oxford, Cambridge, etc., there's world-class research, and we do kind of second-class cut-paste research, which doesn't make the world a better place. We just do a copy medicine of the West. Here it is truly the West, and they're doing research on human development and human benefit. So you will notice that if you follow the people who found their purpose, having taken some time, the results are staggering. Look at where these countries are and look at where we are financially, in respect, in military power, in university knowledge, in every way possible. So I strongly suggest to you that you should explore the world, particularly people from the subcontinent. You should look at different things. You should get out of your comfort zone. Listen to your parents, listen to your uncle, listen to your teachers, listen to your next door, but do what your own heart and soul tells you to do, because that's a long-term love affair. It's like a long-term choice of your marital partner. If you've chosen the right person, things go along smoothly. There'll be ups and downs. But if you have been told who to be with, or a medical practitioner, I used to get on with my partners. We were completely different. I'm more about emotions, psychology, and my partner was a surgeon. Yet we respected each other and got on fine. We didn't have rows. We didn't squabble about money or anything. So like any place in life, once you are comfortable with your purpose in life, you'll do it smoothly. You'll know you have reached your purpose in life. Now, my purpose in life, I believe, is to teach. I believe in education. The word educare means to read out. In Islam, it says ikra, the first word, means go faraway places to learn. Because knowledge is how we humans are different from animals. I'm slightly cleverer than a tiger, but I don't have his claws. I don't have the hair of a polar bear. I'm not as quick as a monkey, but I've got brains and you've got brains. So the show is always about unleashing your inner power with Dr. Anand.